Former prisoners of Reddit, what is something that no one seems to know about prison life? The worst part about it is how painfully boring it is. I don't know about these days, but back when I was in prison, it was dull. We watched TV, chat, eat, sleep, play cards. Too much time on our hands. Even the guards would join us for card games or to watch TV with us. I spent a short amount of time in a young offenders institution, UK, when I was 20. Nobody told me everyone showers with their boxer shorts on. Day 1 I walk into the showers naked and was faced with 10 very confused young men wondering why the new guy had his pecker out. Day 1, unknowingly asserted prison dominance today. Bunking with a stupid motherfucker that jerks off at least 3 times a night and the whole goddamn bunk rattles the whole time. If you can't beat him, join him. That it's possible to go years without a hug. Or any physical contact for that matter. It wears on your psyche. Served 30 months in Florida at age 18. Food was terrible, boredom is mind-numbing, the feeling that the world is leaving you behind is quite painful. Perhaps the worst of it though is the stigma associated with being a convicted felon. I have been turned down twice for jobs. In the last month, I am capable of excelling at specifically because felony convictions. Former Space Coast area machinist now living in oil country Louisiana. Problem is, I am totally honest with them and the convictions are 25 years old. Prisoners get fat because the food is pure processed crapola. That we can make full meals out of ramen and various store/kitchen ingredients. Ramen pizza, ramen burritos, ramen sandwiches. You name it. If you look at the guards as your butler, it makes life more enjoyable in there. Call them Jeeves. I mean, they get your mail. Bring you your meals. Also, the tabletop RPG games can be very good. Getting caught masturbating sucks. I got caught masturbating in jail 7 or 8 times, it really sucks. So this is the guy on the top bunk. You miss things that you don't think about on a day-to-day basis, things that you take for granted. 27 months in military and US federal prisons, and the 2 things I looked forward to the most was turning a light switch on and off and walking barefoot on carpet. I was a prison guard and I was always surprised by the level of power and wealth in prison. Outside, an important, powerful man has lots of money, expensive drugs and women. While there are drugs in prison, they are rarer, so a powerful, wealthy inmate has an abundance of little Debbie cakes, Twinkies and porno mags. Female ex-prisoner here. How freaking sad and isolating it is. One of my cellmates was told her husband died a few weeks before I paroled. She was in for a probation violation. She didn't really have anyone but her husband, and when they asked her if she wanted to make any phone calls, she broke down. There was no one left. I remember us all sitting with her trying to be there for her. It was so sudden and so tragic. I found out I was pregnant while in prison and later gave birth there as well. All family was over 12 hours away. I had family that was allowed to be present during labor, but that just wasn't an option because of the distance. I spent 2 days with my daughter and then received a picture once I went back to prison. No posting on Facebook, no phone calls, nothing pretty much. Very lonely. It's been 5 years since the day I was arrested and then later incarcerated. I have a beautiful family, my daughter has been with me since I got out, and I am currently an engineering student. Life is so fulfilling. There are not many days I reflect upon this time, but I figured I would throw my 2 cents in. I was in jail 3 days and holy shit, inmates were good guys. They busted their ass to get me out. The fucking police wouldn't so much as look up a number. You think you know what boredom is? No, you don't unless you have been locked up. I was so bored I tried to go asleep at 4 p.m. just to make day go past faster. It's a lot like high school. If you were forced into the high school by armed men in uniforms, told you couldn't leave until X time has passed, and they shut the door behind you. Think of all the awful people you knew in high school. Assholes, jocks, douches, dickheads, thugs, etc. They're all there, but grown up and locked in with you. The same cliques, the same maturity levels, but everyone's an adult and locked in a building with you. 99% of inmates are incredibly friendly to each other. There is a little bit of us, prisoners, versus them, custodial staff, other staff were mostly okay, mentality. Your first night in, someone will make sure you are fed, and make sure you have everything you need until you can get your first canteen. The free soap you are given sucks and dries your skin. The most basic thing anyone can give you is a bar of real soap and a razor, but it's the most appreciated. The thing is, the prison discourages this behavior. You are not supposed to possess anything you didn't pay for. They will tell you all gifts come with strings attached, which of course is rarely true. The only string is you pay it forward when you're settled in. I once got in trouble for lending someone my radio, even though I had 2 of them. They create all these rules and lies to try and get the inmates to feel isolated against each other, but it only reinforces the bind between them, because the one thing you all have in common is the man is trying to put you down. The noise. Everything is concrete and steel, so everything echoes. And every black dude is the next big rapper or R&B hitmaker, and they practice at the top of their lungs with 10 hype men. Dominoes being slammed on metal tables almost constantly is enough to send even the sanest person insane. The noise is brutal. The smell of farts, ramen noodles, instant coffee and cocoa butter all the time. Shouldn't touch any handrail because it probably has semen on it, and I think staff was born in prison because everyone has it. Way more just can't think of it. Also, half the guards that worked there, probably belonged in there. 1. It's really boring. Pick a room in your house, remove everything from it, including windows, except a bed, and imagine having to be there for even just 7 straight days. You can pretend a TV is in there too, but imagine that you can't pick the channel and it only ever shows pure, utter shit. 2. You're treated extremely poorly by corrections officers. I don't necessarily mean physical abuse, though that sometimes happens, but you're not treated like a person. You're treated like a dog with owners who don't actually want it. 3. Solitary confinement, after a while, seems like psychological torture, especially when you don't know how long you'll be there. 4. Not a single thing seems to be done to rehabilitate people, you're just locked in a cage for a while as punishment. My experience wasn't actually bad at all. I ended up being really fortunate and really needed the wake-up call, but I had never really considered what being locked up would be like before that. It's not fun. At the same time, though, I can understand why some people would be back several times, if you were actually friends with some of the other inmates, and some of them certainly knew one another. It's basically just hanging out all day. If you roll in those types of circles already, it doesn't seem like much of a deterrent. I wasn't in a hardcore facility, though, I'm quite positive there are infinitely harder places to do time.